Memoriam has a new album out, and it's called Rise to Power, released on February 3rd through Reaper Entertainment. This is a death metal supergroup, something we do not hear very often. The band consists mainly of previous members of the band Bolt Thrower, a very popular UK metal band that's often hailed as one of the few death metal bands that has released a solid discography. In this new formation, you have former Bolt Thrower vocalist Karl Willetts and the drummer from the same band, Andy Whale, but he actually left the band and was replaced by Spiky T. Smith, who has played on many different bands. The other half of the band consists of Scott Fairfax on guitar and Frank Healy, both from Benediction. This band is labeled as death metal, but in my opinion, I would say closer to metal death, something like Amon Amarth. But don't get me wrong, they still have a sound very similar to Bolt Thrower. This is their fifth album. The first time I ever listened to this band was when I reviewed their last album called To the End. I enjoyed that one a lot, and they even ranked it up pretty high in my top 10 death metal albums list of 2021. Now we get to Rise of Power, and it's good. It's not anything groundbreaking. They're still doing what they're doing. They give you what you would expect. The lyrics are about war, atrocities, killing, death, politics. When I was listening to this album, I started to think that they're kind of like Sabaton, but doing death metal. For some reason, that thought came to my mind. For example, in the title track, Rise to Power, the song describes a very bleak future of what will happen after a complete and total war breaks out with lots of death and hopelessness. The lyrics to the song Total War describe a similar situation. There's a lot of killing and a rising death count. All this the result of ongoing wars. The album has 8 tracks and about 44 minutes. That's a standard album length for this type of music. The songs are all about 5 minutes long or less. The album has a good length for a death metal album. The songs are pretty much perfect length for this type of music. They don't really stray from their formula that much. It's pretty much what you would expect, but as I was saying before, it's closer to metal death than it would be traditional old school death metal, so the songs are very melodic. You also have a lot of elements that are present in traditional death metal, so the songs are similar to that, so let's talk about that a little more. As for the guitar sound, you have lots of galloping guitar riffs, lots of tremolo picking. Sometimes you hear isolated old school death metal, and a lot of times you hear palm muted guitar riffs, and they have these breakdowns where they play these harmonized guitar parts. There are other songs such as Total War where they play these machine gun riffs, as I like to call them, kind of where they play like 3 notes at a time, and it's pretty cool. If you like that headbanging type of music, I like that aspect of it. There are lots of guitar solos. I think the one I remember hearing was from the song All Out War, and it was kind of brief. I think the band likes to concentrate more on guitar riffs. Most of the guitar riffs are death metal, but there was one song called I Am the Enemy, which had kind of an atmospheric black metal sound in the guitars. So if you like that kind of thing, that would be pretty cool. The band plays mostly at a mid-pace. There's a lot of groove in their songs. I think on this album they slowed it down a few times just to create some atmosphere in the background. They like to play sustained power chords where you have a lot of distortion, and that creates sound textures. Something I found on a lot of the songs. There are also some elements of groove metal. So for example, on the song All Is Lost, they do some pinch harmonics and some guitar riffs that are maybe closer to thrash metal. And they also have some pretty cool guitar squeals. I enjoyed the drumming on this album. The drums have a very good sound. The album has a very good production value, so I enjoyed that. It has traditional drum playing, the kind that you would hear on a typical death metal album. So they added some like blast beats here and there. I also enjoyed like the tribal drum beats on the song Rise to Power. On many of the songs, they change the drum beats and they go through different tempo changes. They had some nice drum fills, so no complaints in that department. The vocals are similar to how they were with the Bolt Thrower albums. Karl Willetts has the same heavy death metal vocals, but he's also understandable. If you want to concentrate and listen to the lyrics, they're very understandable. He doesn't really change his vocal style throughout the song, so that might be a negative for some people. I only remember a few instances where the vocals sounded a little deeper and darker, but it wasn't something you heard very often on this album. There's one song called The Conflict Is Within, where it has a bass guitar intro, and that sound was like a very distorted bass. Otherwise, you didn't hear like a lot of like isolated bass guitar on the album. Out of all the songs, there's one song that really stood out for me, and that's the last track called The Pain. It started with some atmospheric, clean electric guitar and acoustic guitars playing arpeggios and a softer drum beat, the kind you would hear in a typical unplugged performance, and then They brought in some heavy guitars playing sustained power chords with a lot of distortion. The song has a slow chugging sound, lots of galloping guitars, lots of distortion. This is the song where the vocals sounded like a little darker and they were like more like melodic guitars in the breakdown. So I think out of all the songs, this one stood out and I might have liked it the best. So that's all. I think it's a good album. It's not great. It's not the type of album where I say like I love some of the songs and maybe I don't like some of the other ones. It's the type of album where I think like every song is good or okay. So it's kind of enjoyable. It's like one of those albums you put on like start to finish. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're not doing anything different. So for that reason, I'll give it 7.5 out of 10 for now. Maybe it will go up if I listen to it some more. But for now, it's just decent. No complaints. It's okay. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Thanks for watching. Check out this playlist of 2023 album reviews. It's only February, but it's starting to build up. So if you missed anything, maybe you can check it out. And see you in the next one.